Specifically in the Kidal region, we are in a process of readapting our forces by a redeployment to the locality of Anifis. So we are maintaining our positions. We are remaining in the Kidal region.
April 25th, 2026. Coordinated attacks hit 6 Malian cities. The defense minister was killed in his own home. A strategic northern city fell to rebels. And then, the information war began. Within hours, 2 completely different stories emerged. One side, 10,000 to 12,000 attackers, Ukrainian mercenaries, Western weapons, a coup attempt foiled by Russia. The other side, Russia suffered a humiliating defeat. The AES abandoned Mali. The government is collapsing. Both cannot be true. So which one is propaganda? And what actually happened? I'm Oki, the insider. This is Africa Geopolitical Insider. Today, we separate fact from fiction.
As for the matter of the African Corps, once again, I must emphasize that this is strictly a matter for the Ministry of Defense, and I would strongly recommend that you direct your specific questions to that particular department. We, for our own part, firmly believe that it is of the utmost importance that everything within the country returns to a peaceful and stable course of action as soon as is humanly possible.
Now, let us start with the Russian version of events. Within 24 hours of the attacks, the Russian Defense Ministry Africa Corps released a dramatic statement. They claimed they had helped foil a large-scale coup attempt targeting the presidential palace. They said the attackers, identified as the Azawad Liberation Front and Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, numbered between 10,000 and 12,000 fighters. They also claimed that Ukrainian and European mercenaries were involved, and that they were using Western-supplied Stinger and Maestro missiles. They also stated that over 1,000 attackers were killed. These numbers spread like wildfire across Russian state media and across the continent. To the casual viewer, it sounded like a massive victory. Russia saved the Malian government from a Western-backed coup. But here is the problem. None of these claims have been independently verified. No evidence of Ukrainian mercenaries, no captured Western missiles shown, and casualty numbers in active conflict zones are notoriously unreliable, especially when only one side is reporting them. The EU versus Disinfo Monitoring Service, which tracks pro-Kremlin disinformation, analyzed these claims. Their conclusion: this is an attempt to exploit Mali's security crisis to advance a recurring pro-Kremlin disinformation narrative about the role of Western countries in Africa, while providing a convenient smokescreen to Russia's failure in confronting rebel advances in Mali. In plain language, Russia is using wild, unsubstantiated claims to distract from what actually happened on the ground.
It was this time last week, Saturday morning in the early hours, that there was a surprise coordinated attack in Mali from Islamist a group called Jnim, linked to Al-Qaeda, and also a separatist group in the north. Now, for the last week, we've seen a fight back of sorts from the regime in control of the country, and also supported by Russian mercenaries. But 2 cities in the north have been taken. There have been surrenders by both the Russians and the Malian military. And right now there's a battle for Bamako. There is an apparent attempt for a complete blockade of all goods going in and out of the capital.
If you have made it this far in the video and you're interested in more deep, no-nonsense breakdowns on Africa's power moves, geopolitics, and hidden strategies, I implore you to subscribe to Africa Geopolitical Insider, like this video. But before you think the Western media is innocent, let's examine their narrative. Western outlets like the Associated Press, Just Well, ODW, and Relief Web reported the events very differently. They confirmed that coordinated attacks happened. They also affirmed that the defense minister was killed. They confirmed that Kidal a northern city was taken by FLA separatists. But then came the framing. Western analysts called the withdrawal from Kidal a humiliating tactical defeat for Russia. They emphasized that the AES, Burkina Faso, Niger, did not deploy troops. Some went further, calling Russian support wholly ineffective. Here is where it gets tricky. These claims are partially true, but they are being framed to serve Western strategic interests. Yes, Russian and Malian forces withdrew from Kidal after negotiating with the FLA. That is not a sign of strength. One analyst put it bluntly: you don't negotiate your exit with the force that just pushed you out if you are operating from a position of strength. Yes, Burkina Faso and Niger did not send troops, but the Russian news agency TASS reported that coordination is occurring within the AES Joint Force Framework, and both Burkina Faso and Niger are fighting their own severe insurgencies. Jenim controls an estimated 60% of Burkina Faso's territory. The Western narrative leaves out an uncomfortable truth. The Malian government itself has confirmed that active and retired Malian military personnel were involved in planning the attacks. This wasn't just an external terrorist offensive. It had internal collaborators. That detail simply doesn't fit neatly into the Russia failed story, so it's rarely mentioned in the Western media. Okay, let us look at what we actually know. In other words, let's clear the fog. Here is what multiple independent sources, including the UN's Relief Web, the Associated Press, and the EU Institute of Security Studies, agree. On April 25, 2026, two armed groups launched coordinated attacks across 6 Malian cities, including Bamako, Kati, Gao, Kidal, Mopti, and Severi. The groups were Jenim, an Al-Qaeda affiliate, and the FLA, a Tuareg separatist movement. The defense minister, Sadio Kamara, was killed when a vehicle-borne explosive struck his residence in Kati. His death was confirmed by Colonel Goita Assimi himself. The FLA claimed control of Kidal on April 26th. Russia Africa Corps and Malian forces withdrew from the city after reaching an agreement with the FLA leadership. The Jenim spokesperson, Bina Diarra, released a video threatening to impose a siege on Bamako, claiming the capital is besieged from all sides. Also, at least 23 people were confirmed killed, including civilians and military personnel. The Malian government reported 16 people wounded. The full casualty count remains unclear. In addition, the Malian government's own investigation has revealed the involvement of active military personnel, retired military personnel, and military personnel pending removal from their roles in the planning of the attacks. The European Council on Foreign Relations published an extensive investigation into Russia's Africa strategy. They are finding Russia has built what they call a sophisticated propaganda machine that taps into existing antipathy towards Europe to push African governments closer to Moscow's objectives. But here is the twist. The same report acknowledges that Western influence in the Sahel has been marked by failed campaigns, and that the region's crises have deepened under both Western and Russian-backed security arrangements. The truth is uncomfortable for everyone. Neither Russia nor the West has a clean record in the Sahel. Okay, let's turn to the bigger picture. why this actually matters. This is where we look at what the propaganda wars are hiding from you. The real story of April 25th is not about Russia winning or losing. It's about what this means for the people of Mali. Jenim, the Al-Qaeda affiliate, now controls an estimated 60% of Burkina Faso's territory. They're expanding into Benin, Togo, and Ghana. The April 25th attacks showed that Jenim and the FLA, a secular separatist group, can coordinate their operations effectively. If that alliance holds, the Sahel is now entering a terrifying new phase. The AES, the Allied Sahel States, that is Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, has promised mutual defense. But right now, each country is fighting for its own survival. Burkina Faso cannot send troops to Mali when Jenim is at its own doorstep. Now, let us look at the other layer. In this situation, the ACAPS briefing from Relief Web notes that the attacks have caused acute protection and access concerns for civilians, including a 3-day overnight curfew in Bamako, the disrupted airport operations, and fears among many residents. Behind the geopolitical games, real people are trapped. Real people cannot move freely. And to make matters worse, real children cannot go to school because of the insecurity. Families are suffering. That is what the propaganda wars are distracting us from. I'm Oki, and this has been the African Geopolitical Insider. If you want to understand geopolitics, not just the headlines, but the real forces shaping our world, you are in the right place. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.